good day, folks. I can't say welcome back to the Woodlot because it's back at the house.
It's welcome back to the channel.
Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to discuss can proper management of your woodlot save you taxes, and also what are some of the options to protect your woodlot on a long-term basis. One of the common things that happens within families is someone dies, the woodlot passes. If there's 3, 4, 5 kids, nobody may have enough money to purchase the others outright and take ownership. So the woodlot gets sold, or they clear cut the woodlot to help pay money out to the decedents, whatever. There's always lots of complications.
Well, and I think the big surprise when I first heard it was about capital gains tax on it.
Right. And that's where we're going to start. I'm going to have to read a significant amount of this stuff because I just have no interest in trying to memorize it, and I don't think it'll work.
And you're not an accountant nor tax lawyer.
Right. So this is not legal advice, but it will allow you to look at various options and pursue it at, at your own kind of risk research.
Well, it's more a heads up for people so that they recognize that, oh, maybe this is something I need to look at and do something about.
We first learned about it probably 7, 8 years ago when we attended a seminar that was being put on by Woodlot Owners Association, probably the marketing board or the co-op. Anyhow, let me just give you a bit of oversight. In December 2001 budget, the Honorable Paul Martin announced that managed woodlots would receive the same capital gains tax treatment as family farms when passed from one generation to another within the family.
So this is Canadian.
Yes.
For anybody watching this outside of Canada.
There may or may not be anything in a different country, but this does apply to all Canada. To the best of my knowledge, this has not been changed.
No,
but again,
I did some research today and didn't find anything on it. But
the tax will be deferred indefinitely as long as ownership remains within the family. So how do you accomplish this? What does this mean to the landowner, to the woodlot owner who has practiced good management of his or her land? It means that you can keep the woodlot in the family without incurring the significant taxes that owners used to have to pay prior to this change. For a woodlot owner to meet the requirements, which came into effect on December 2001, the woodlot must qualify as a commercial farm woodlot. And what does that mean, right? What is needed to qualify as a commercial farm woodlot? 1, you must demonstrate that you operate your woodlot as a business with a reasonable expectation of profit. The following list covers some of the ways in which you can show your intentions.
well, and one of the things they talked about at that seminar was reasonable expectation of profit doesn't mean it has to be in the next 5 years or 10 years or whatever.
You can't cut your woodlot every year.
Right.
Well,
so it is,
to any extent.
in the case of woodlots, like it is a long-term expectation of profit. So at some point down the road.
Right. But we're not going to get into those interpretations because that's where you need some professional advice.
No question. Yep.
To really decide. A management plan for the woodlot. If you don't already have one, seek the assistance of a professional forester or forest technician and put a plan in place as soon as possible. We had our first one in 2012. We renewed it in 2018. So we've done that. The federal government is currently in the process of establishing the mandatory content of such a plan to make it qualify. Until those guidelines are officially published, the types of plans currently used will suffice. Can't tell you whether that's been done or not.
Well, and certainly any of your forest techs or forestry people would know.
A simple business plan which will estimate expected costs and revenue over time. Now that's one thing we haven't done.
We haven't done, and, yeah, should look at.
But we have done 2 commercial cuts. So actual revenue commercially has been generated from the woodlot. Records describing how these plans have been implemented, including the activities undertaken and the time you spent.
Ha, we have ours all on video.
Part of the reason for doing the video series is show what we've done on the woodlot. But I don't think you have to start a YouTube channel in order to do it.
Just to meet this qualification, no.
It's important in this case to keep careful records tracking the plans and any other works or activities you carry out on your woodlot. Records of training you have taken as well as additional technical advice you have obtained. We haven't done a good job in recording the training we've taken.
Most of yours has been on YouTube, hasn't it?
Well, yeah. But we did a couple of
Have done some,
seminars
yeah.
with Community Forest International way back.
And I have the paperwork from that. I've got it all
The
in my
Woodlot
binder.
Owners of the Year, AGM contains an information training component to it. So we'll get by on that, I think. Records of time you spend on the business. As you work on your woodlot, make sure you record that time as any investment into your woodlot business. Also, membership in a woodlot owner association.
Got that one.
Now, for those, and I can only talk New Brunswick, automatically owning, I think it's 20 acres or more, makes you a member of the marketing board.
For your area.
Yes, there's 7 zones within New Brunswick, depending on, we're in the southern New Brunswick zone, but you automatically become a member of that. Now, of course, if they don't know you're a woodlot owner and you don't reach out to them, they'll never contact you because they're not going to.
They're not going to be proactive and try and track you down.
They
no.
don't have the time to go around searching for you. So, you need to make that an effort. Here in this area, for $5, you can join a cooperative of woodlot owners. So there's opportunities in most areas that I've seen to join an association of some sort. The main activity of this business is caring for the woodlot through good management practices to grow trees for eventual sale. Here, other than the ones I'm pruning to improve the woodlot, taking out, I'm figuring, 100 to 200 years is what I'd like to see
For your eventual sale.
before we start to harvest some of this material. But again, there's always going to be junk components, poorly grown trees, they always try and
Well,
deal with.
and we did do commercial thinning.
Yes, 2.
Yep.
Anyhow, a business that mainly involves buying woodlots in order to harvest them would not be considered a farm woodlot business. So if your business plan is to buy a property, clear cut it, and then resell it,
You're probably not going to manage to be
it's not
exempt.
gonna qualify. Anyhow, we won't try and get into any more detail on this because it's really too complicated and there's a lot of, but there's documentation available. This is from the Canadian Model Forest Network.
Well, and the course that we took, or the workshop we took, is from the Nova Scotia group. And I'll try and remember, and I'll put the link for that down in the
That was an
information.
accounting group, though.
No, well, the group that did it, but what we have in the binder, the whole package is available online, and it is from Nova Scotia, and it's to do with Woodlot group. So
Okay.
I'll try and
We'll
put
put
the
a
link, yeah, I'll try and remember and put the link in.
All right, so we'll help steer you in the right way. So now you have managed to successfully pass your property along to the next generation without serious tax consequences, hopefully.
Which hopefully means nobody has to clear cut your property just to pay the capital gains tax.
And you've been working on your woodlot and working to improve it and growing trees and so on. So now you also have to worry or
Consider.
consider
He wasn't doing any drumming.
what's the long-term consequences of your work and how can you protect it from future clear cutting or other misuse of your woodlot. And again, there are a number of options. None of them are just necessarily quick and easy. I'll be reading this out of Jamie Simpson's book. This is the old original version. There's a newer version, Restoring the Acadian Forest.
Yeah.
I know in New Brunswick there are land trusts. If your property is particularly attractive, they may adopt your forest and protect it for many generations.
Now, by attractive, it doesn't just mean pretty.
No, it means that they consider it to have valuable ecological, resources and should not be badly managed. Apparently there are 80 land trusts operating across Canada, including 4 province-wide trusts in the Maritimes, along with the Atlantic chapter of the National Nature Conservancy of Canada, and several smaller trusts. Anyhow, it's an option. You can sometimes get tax breaks, you can do land donation. Again, it can be very complicated, and I don't want to get into all the possible ins and outs. I know we saw an example of a fairly large woodlot, I think around 800 acres. 500 was sold to the Community Forest International. They also have a website, and you can see some of what they've done. I think it was part purchase. The surviving member of the family had a living trust to stay on the property as long as they could, etc., etc. So the last thing we'll talk about is conservation easements, which you don't require another organization in order to do this on your property. Let me read. A conservation easement is a legal tool to ensure the protection of a property according to the wishes of the landowner, while allowing the owner to retain ownership of the property. Because a conservation easement is legally binding and is attached to the deed of the property, any future owner of the property must abide by the conditions of the easement. Upon signing a conservation easement, a landowner essentially gives up certain rights to the property. For example, the conservation easement might prohibit any future subdivision of the property, or perhaps any commercial development of the land. Easements often define certain ecological features of the property that must be protected. In return, the landowner can rest assured that the land trust will watch over the property in perpetuity, making sure the land is managed according to the stipulations in the conservation easement. because each conservation easement is tailored to the property and its owner, they allow for flexibility in how the property can be managed. Of special interest to woodlot owners, some land trusts have developed working forest or working woodlot easements specifically for landowners who wish to see their careful woodlot management continue beyond their personal ownership. The problem with these, easement issues is not that they can be wonderful for your property, but it's to think in such a long-term basis. Like realistically, what can people effectively do? It's like subdividing property and creating building lots, and you specify that no building can be larger than 100 square feet. Well, good luck with that, because there aren't many people who are willing to live in 100 square feet. So it needs to be practical, leave future owners with some options, but at the same time, certainly things like no clear cutting of more than 5 acres might be realistic, but you really need to think strategically and long term. Anyhow, we hope this has been of some benefit to you and given you some food for thought. It's not easy stuff, but at the same time, saving tax money and ensuring the long-term sustainability of your property is worth giving some time to.
Yes, it's like certainly for older watchers who may have children who will be inheriting their property, to put these things in place
Right.
as soon as possible so that it doesn't end up a problem for the kids.
Yes. Anyhow, we'll catch you on the next video, and stay safe out there.
Thanks for watching, guys.